Good morning, I am Greg Joseph Armanjero. My topic is about status strip in Windows Form. In this presentation, we will learn the definition of status strip and its function. First, we would like to know what is status strip. A status strip is a control that is typically located at the bottom of a form and is used to display status information such as the progress of an operation, the status of a connection, or the current state of the application. Inside status strip control tools, it contains range of properties and methods that allow you to customize the appearance and behavior of the control, such as changing the font, color, and layout of the panel, as well as updating the text and icons displayed in the panels at runtime. There are 4 options in status strip: status label, progress bar, drop-down button, and split button. Now, we will define each option. Status label. Status label control is a type of tool strip status label control that can be used to display text and icons in a status strip panel. Progress bar. The progress bar is a type of tool strip progress bar control that can be used to indicate the progress of a task in the status strip. Now, in drop-down button, it is a type of tool strip drop-down button control that can be used to display a list of options when clicked. And for split button, it is a type of tool strip split button control that can be used to display both a default action and a list of options when clicked. Now let's take a look for the example of each option. Now we're looking at the example of status label. It is a words and icons. Slide for 58, English, United States, which means the language. Here, the links. Here are some guides. Now the example of progress bar, which you can see, it is a loading or the progress. Example of drop down, which shows some options, file save as settings. And split button, which still look the same but it has a different purpose. Split button. Now, the difference between drop-down button and split button. The main difference between a drop-down button and a split button in C# status strip is that the split button combines a regular button with a drop-down menu, while the drop-down button is simply a button with just a drop-down menu. That's the main difference between the two. Split button is a combination of regular button and the drop-down, while the drop-down is simply a button with drop-down menu. It's a button. Now, we will go to demonstration and coding. In this demonstration part, we will not dig deeper to complicated codes. I will just going to show the most common used status strip, which are the status label and progress bar. Now we already have here a sample login interface. Now what we are going to do here is to implement a status strip here in our login interface. So we're just going to drag this status strip always at the bottom. We're going to add items in our status strip, which are the status label and progress bar for our loading. We're just going to remove the text from our status strip label. Remove text. Now what we want is when we try to hover here in username text box and password text box, it will show us some guide or label here. The text will appear here in our status strip. To make this work, we're going to event mouse hover. Now we already have a code here, sample code. If we try to hover in this text box, our tool strip status label 1 will show enter username or email. Let's try to run it. Now if we hover here in username text box, it shows enter username or email at the bottom. Try to remove it. There will be no text because we use this one. If mouse leave, tool strip status label will be blank. Is good. It is the same with our password text box. If we try to cover this text box, we'll go to event, mouse hover. Now if we try to hover this text box, it will show enter correct password. Let's try to run it. Here in our password text box, if we try to hover in this text box, it shows enter correct password. Now here in our login button, if we try to log in, it will show, if the login was clicked, it will show loading. Let's try to log in, run this code, login. Now it shows loading, because if this button login was clicked, it will show serve status label is equals to loading, and our timer will be enabled, which we will need in to strip progress bar, which is this loading bar. If the timer tick, which we have a timer here, it will load this code for our loading bar. Let's try to run it. CSR name, the correct password, and try to click this login. Now it shows loading and the progress bar moved, which is because of our code. This code, and it was successful. Let's try to run it again. It shows successful. Let's try to run it again. Show successful, and the progress bar value resets to 0. This one. That's it. That is how the status strip work.